Have you ever wondered about evil, homosexuality, who made God, abortion, miracles,
to smoke a little weed,
life after death? My name is Sean McDowell, and I'm a high school teacher, a writer, a speaker, and a college professor. I'm the general editor for the Apologetics Study Bible for students.
Is there any evidence for life after death? Now, there's certainly a lot of popular interest in this. There's a lot of books, there's a lot of movies, a lot of conversation about people going to heaven and coming back. But is there any evidence we can really bank on and trust? I mean, good, tangible evidence that life continues after the grave. Well, in the 1980s, there was a popular movie by the name of Flatliners. And it featured Julia Roberts, Kevin Bacon, and Kiefer Sutherland. And they were medical students, and they wanted to know if life continued after death. They decided as medical students they would flatline each other's hearts so they were technically dead. And then they would resuscitate each other back to life and ask them and say, what happened on the other side? It's kind of a morbid experiment, but it makes sense. If you want to know if life continues after the grave, talk to someone who's been there and can come back and tell us about it. Of all the great religious figures in history, there's one main figure who predicted ahead of time that he would die and then come back. So what do we know about Jesus? Well, historically, we know Jesus was a real person. There are no legitimate scholars that really doubt the existence of Jesus. Second, we also know that Jesus died. We can look medically at what he experienced through crucifixion. We can also look at non-biblical writers, Jews like Josephus, Romans like Tacitus, who described this person, Jesus, who was crucified. He lived, he died, and then amazingly on the third day, we find this empty tomb. You see, in that ancient culture, a woman's testimony was almost considered worthless. She wasn't educated like a man, and so she wouldn't normally testify in a court of law. Now, why does this matter? The tomb was discovered by women. If you're the apostles and you're making up a story that's not true, who's the least likely witnesses you would invent to be the first witnesses to the empty tomb? So it's obvious the apostles weren't inventing this or making it up, because they never would have had women discover the empty tomb. It would have been counterproductive to the message that they were trying to send. I also find is multiple people claiming that they saw the risen Jesus. Paul writes of 500 believers, 500 people who saw Jesus alive. The apostles claim to see him, women claim to see him. We also have skeptics. We have skeptics like Thomas who said, I will not believe until I see. There were non-believers who were persecuting Christians. And what do they all say? They say, we've seen the risen Jesus. And guess what? They refused to compromise their faith. Even many of them going to their graves, they said that they had seen the risen Jesus. You know what that tells me? Life doesn't end at the grave. Don't just take my word for it. Go read the evidence for the historical Jesus. And I think if you're open-minded and seeking truth, you may just be persuaded, like some of the greatest minds throughout history, that you and I will also and can have eternal life.